We're going to go to the book of Genesis, chapter 29. Today I want to talk to you about love of God and love, the covenant of love. And I want to just talk to us today about our value, and how valuable we are, and things that we love, we value. How many know it's important to have value and principles in your life? There's usually, in our lives, a lot of us, we have what we call priorities. And, you know, it's like, have you ever been to a junkyard before? Ever been to a junkyard? My friend his father used to come, one of my best friends, his father and his whole family owned junkyards. And they were in the junkyard business. But a lot of times around junkyards, you don't see too many fences, you know, because there's not big fences around junkyards. Have you ever been to a junkyard where you've seen big fences with barbed wire all around it? Anybody ever seen that kind of junkyard? I've never seen that. Why is that? Because you know why? It's a junkyard. There's junk in the junkyard. So a lot of times when you have junk, you don't really guard it. You don't really take care of it. It's like, you know, we're throwing away some stuff, and we take our junk, and we usually take our junk and we throw it in the garbage. Because why? It's junk. Right? And I don't put a big barbed wire fence around the junk in my yard. I usually take my junk and I throw it in the garbage. And because, why is that? Because it is not valuable to me. It is not important to me. So I don't really guard it. I don't really protect it. I don't really do anything to watch over it. I'm not at night out there with my flashlight and my German Shepherd out there watching over my trash. You know? You better stay away from my trash. My trash is valuable. I do know that when I go camping a lot of times, the raccoons like my trash. How many ever seen raccoons before? You know, when you go camping, all of a sudden at night, you see raccoons come out and they go after the trash. And when we were little, we used to have a problem with raccoons. We'd open up the garage and there'd be tons of raccoons in there, and they'd be trying to get our garbage. And a lot of times, we go to garage sales. How many like garage sales? Yeah, yep. And you know what I found out is that sometimes somebody's junk is somebody else's treasure. Because a lot of times, you know, I've read stories about people that have gone to junkyards and gone to yard sales, and they literally go find a picture, and that picture is worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And they find this picture and they pay like $15 for it. Because it was very valuable, but only a few people knew of the value. They really knew how important it was. And so a lot of times the things in our lives that we value, the things that we think are important, we guard and we protect. Because why? They're valuable. They're important to us. And things that we value, we guard and we protect. Isn't that right? Now, in Genesis chapter 46, there's a story here. I'm sorry, not 46. Praise God. I can't see my scriptures. Genesis chapter 29, verse 4. My glasses are not up here. I don't know where I did with my glasses, but I laid them somewhere. But, let me see. Is that Genesis chapter 29? Yes. Yeah, Genesis chapter 29, verse 4. So what we have here is that Jacob, it says in verse 1 of Genesis chapter 29, then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it, For out of that well they watered the flocks, and there was a great stone upon the well's mouth. And then there were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in its place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? In other words, where are you from? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, It is well. And they said, He is well. Is he well? And they said unto him, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with sheep. And he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, We cannot, until all the flocks be gathered together, until they roll the stone from the well's mouth, and we water the sheep. And while he yet spake with them, Rachel came with his father's sheep, for she kept them. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, he had a heart attack and fell over. He had heart palpitations. He started to sweat. It says that when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. All of a sudden, when Jacob saw Rachel, he got supernatural strength, and he rolled the stone away. Now, I remember when I was little, when I liked a girl in school. I had two girlfriends. Had two at the same time in 5th grade. It's terrible. And I used to try to, when I was around those girls, I tried to show them how strong I was. So I would try to lift things, and I would swing like I was a monkey, and all these crazy things, because I thought that's what the girls liked. But all of a sudden, I noticed that when I would get around them, I would get supernatural strength, and I would feel strong. And you know, Jacob, when he saw Rachel, all of a sudden, man, he felt strength, and he rolled that stone away on his own. Now, I think that's amazing. It says, And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, verse 10, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, and Jacob went near, rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's sister, and Jacob kissed Rachel. He kissed her and lifted up his voice and wept. Man, that must have been a good kiss. Because, I mean, when he saw Rachel, I mean, he didn't even ask who she belonged to or anything. He just kissed her. And then after he kissed her, he wept. I've never seen anybody kiss somebody and after a weep, unless it was like, you know, wow. It was overwhelming. That was an overwhelming kiss. Jacob wept. Now, part of this we have to understand is that Jacob was really running for his life because Jacob had deceived his brother. And his mother sent him away to save his life because he stole the birthright from his brother Esau. So Jacob was on the run, and he had to go find some relatives and somebody to live with because Jacob was basically in trouble. And by the way, you know the word Jacob means a deceiver, a supplanter. So this is what he was, and Jacob was dealing with this, and then Jacob told, it says in verse 12, Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told him farther. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house, and he told Laban all these things. And then Laban said to Jacob, Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. And Laban said unto Jacob, Behold, thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me what thy wages shall be, or what shall thy wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters, and the name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed. Now, some translations say that she was cross-eyed in the Hebrew. Because tender-eyed means that she was weak-eyed. So they believe that she probably had weak eyes means that her eyes were crossed. But Rachel was beautiful and well favored. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. 7 years. 7 years. That's a long time. And he said, I'll serve you 7 years. Why would Jacob say something like that? He told the father. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than thou should give her to another man and abide with me. And it says, Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed but unto him but a few days for the love he had to her. Now that shows you that Jacob loved Rachel. And Rachel was valuable to him so much that he was willing to serve 7 years for her. He loved her that much. And what we find in the story is that when Jacob had served 7 years, the father, Laban, had a big feast and a big party. And what he did is that when Jacob went in to go to Rachel to consummate their relationship and their marriage, he found out that it wasn't Rachel, but it was Leah. So Laban fooled Jacob and deceived him, and he woke up and he found out that it was Leah and not Rachel. And you know what happened? Jacob had to work another 7 years for Rachel. So Jacob worked 14 years for Rachel. 14 years. That's a long time. That's how much he loved Rachel. Now, what would make Jacob, amen, do something like that is because Jacob loved Rachel. And see, today, love is kind of taken on and has become, in our society today, it's become almost cheap. It's like, I love her, you know, and that's it. And I love her, and the next thing you know, because I love her, and then I'm going to get involved, we're going to get together, and then there's no time, there's no waiting, there's no patience, there's no value. You see, when you value yourself, you respect and you honor yourself. You know, we came from a background a lot of times where we were taught, and I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of us were taught that we were worms, we were sinners, that God loved us and he loved us so much, and he loved us so much and that he died for us, but we were worms and sinners and no good. But you know what? God, the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. God loved us so much that he gave the very best for us.